last night, so I'm feeling a lot better.
Yeah. How'd you get to sleep?
I just finally crashed. I mean, I don't know. I just think I was just so exhausted. I finally, nothing changed. Like I just put my head down finally, and I didn't wake up. So that was good.
Awesome. Well, hey, thanks for doing this. As I mentioned to Nathan, normally do the show at about 3:00 Central, about 5 hours from now or so, 4 hours. But I had a schedule change, and so we're just going to do a quick show just to make sure we don't break the chain. So this is a bit of an impromptu quick show here. What's on your mind? I know you're at the office. You go to the office on Fridays, so you're pretty much not in the office the rest of the week. What's the decision around that?
It's kind of actually simple. It's just around the baby. So our daughter Addison is in with a nanny Monday through Thursday, and then on Fridays she hangs out with my mom. So she's at home, and usually I can deal with it. But then now that Lynette is working with us, and so she's at home, there's the baby wants her mom, and so it's just easiest if we both kind of get out of the house on Fridays.
Actually, let's talk about that topic. I think that's kind of interesting. So you hired your wife.
Yes.
And a lot of people would say, no, don't do that. Wife or husband, like don't bring family into the business, basically, unless it's a family business that started together. I'd love to hear about the reasons. We know a little bit about this. We've talked about this, but why'd you pick her, and what are the challenges about working with a spouse or partner?
So right away. So I mean, there's a lot of stuff I guess that goes into this, but I took High Rise over in like August of 2014, and immediately there was just a ton of stuff to do, and I didn't have like this ready-made team, so it was just like, and it's funny because I've started businesses now before, and I've started them with partners, and I've usually been able to rely. I've had a great partner in two previous businesses, a guy named Adam Siegel, and I've been able to kind of like let him take over a lot of stuff that I didn't feel like doing, right? Like a lot of even business admin stuff, like dealing with lawyers, dealing with the accountants, dealing with whatever. There's always these things that pop up. Even doing contracts, and even doing special certain customer support issues that were like lengthy, and I didn't want to deal with them. But obviously, like now doing High Rise, I'm by myself, and not only am I by myself, but the operation is like so much bigger. Like this isn't like a startup growing. This is like bam, tons of people, tons of moving parts and things we need to figure out. So like for a while, I wanted to like bring somebody on, but I was always resisting because it was like I want to know for sure that I can't just do this myself. I want to really feel the pain. I'm really hesitant to hire anybody unless I'm like doing the job myself and kind of like understand what the problem is. And so like after 8 months or six months of doing it, it was like it kept coming up like not even like almost a year of doing it. It kept coming up. I was like, man, it would be really nice if I had someone in the spot to like do all these other things that aren't product development, that aren't, kind of worrying about how to strategically grow the business. And I kept getting distracted on these things. Like setting up insurance for my employees was this insane task that took like a month, and I was so distracted. And you could see it happened over like this period of December. And you can also see our growth in December was just like, because like we didn't get anything done. And I couldn't get anything done because I was like talking to the insurance guy and looking at different insurance plans and like just sweating the details. And it's just like, you know what? Finally, it was like, we've got to, for the business to grow and for me to be able to kind of work on the product more and get better at this, I've got to really stop getting distracted on this stuff. And the stuff just kept coming up, just different HR things, different everything, even like privacy policies, and now the safe harbor thing that's changed. I think you guys like there's new safe harbor laws. I don't want to deal with this shit all the time. And there's always something, because if I deal with it, I can't do, I think, what I'm best at, which is like making improvements on the product.
So how'd you get to the point where you realized what you were best at? I mean, have you always known this? Because you've run a few businesses in the past. Have you always had someone else to take care of operations, or is this something you used to kind of enjoy doing, and now I don't enjoy it anymore? What's the take on that?
I don't know. I mean, it's like one of those things where it's just like, I've never loved dealing with like legal crap, admin stuff like that. Like I don't love going to accountants. I mean, I do it like So I don't know. I guess I think I've maybe always realized it. I mean, I like building things. I like making things. Like I don't even mind doing customer support. I just, yeah, some of the admin stuff is just like, oh, this doesn't, I know it's important. I have to make the IRS happy, and certain things like that. And we've got to like, talk to lawyers to have correct things in place, but it's never, doesn't feel close enough to the thing that's like actually making something. So I don't know. I mean, it's something I guess I've always just like, okay, toughed through. But yeah, like you're saying, like I've always had somebody, a partner to kind of help me work through it, who may enjoy that stuff more, who enjoys some more of the organization of some of this stuff.
Did you consider other people? How'd you find? We just went through a process to hire a COO as well, and we kind of had a lengthy process. We hired an executive recruiter to help. We'd been interviewing somebody for quite a while. Didn't work out. Then we asked some people on our network and couldn't find someone. So then we went to an executive recruiter and interviewed a bunch of people and then made a decision. What was your process like?
Not that, right? But I've been recruiting other people for roles like a CTO and for, head designer and for customer support. And like that is so that process was like bringing people in that I only kind of, some people I knew a little bit, like the CTO I had a previous relationship with, but still not a working relationship. We still kind of had to figure a lot of stuff out. And I didn't know this Ren, who we brought in to be a lead designer. So like there was all these, because we were growing this team like from nothing, and I was dealing with kind of like forming these new relationships with new people. It's also kind of stressful. It's kind of stressful being like, man, there's all these new people, with different styles, and we've got to kind of figure out how to work together. So the COO role, this role of wanting to bring someone in to kind of help me manage the business, I actually wanted to not have that feeling. I didn't want to like so I was actually, for like a year, I've kept thinking like, man, Lynette would be perfect for this. Like I've wanted to bring Lynette to help me run all of those other businesses too, but I've never been big enough to be able to consider hiring someone for that role. And maybe I was being silly. Maybe that would actually really help. But for some reason, this just felt like we have the budget to be able to do something like this. I was less worried about the budget. And so it was like, it would be great to have someone's help. And we did. I briefly considered kind of reaching out, but it was also something like, man, but Lynette is so good at this stuff. And I've wanted her on all these previous projects. Maybe I should entertain doing this. And I would love it if I had someone so close to me who I know we work together well. I don't really have to like figure out a new type of working relationship together. So it'll hopefully just be so easy that it like will take away all this new stress. So it was very much the opposite. Like I really was I was really excited about Lynette because it was like, I know how well we work together. We've been together for like, 15 years or something, 16 years. So it's just like, I know, we work on projects well together. She's helped me like with other business issues. So it was just like, man, I hope I can bring her on.
Yeah, it made sense. That's cool. Yeah, that kind of role is interesting because it feels like it should be like one of your arms, basically. Like it's got to feel like fluid, and you've got to know where it is, and it's got to respond, and you've got to respond to it. It feels like it should be part of you, basically. It's a really important sort of operational role, and it's great that you found someone that you've already worked with for 15 years and know really well inside. Now, do you guys have any? Do you have to separate life and work? Does it matter? Does it not? If so, do you have techniques for that? What would you encourage other people to do?
We're still figuring this out a little bit. Like one of the things that I really also was hoping for when we, like over the years, I've always depended on Lynette for help to think strategically about the business. And so we've always kind of had this in our personal lives. She'd come home from work, I'd be done with work, and we'd have dinner or whatever. The weekends we take walks or whatever, and we talk about work. But when we had a kid, it was like, man, we can't. Now there's all this other stuff. Now there's hanging out with the kid. And so it's just like we were trying to also remove, it was also kind of hard to get Lynette's help on the business because now we don't want to do it in our free time. So actually now we're actually trying to work really hard to actually keep it separate. Like, because now it's even easier to kind of blend it in. Like Lynette, it's easy to hey, how is your day today when we have dinner with our baby with Addison, and it's just like it's really easy to be like, oh man, that thing that we were talking about all day today, let's talk about it some more.
Right.
And we remind ourselves like, let's not do it. We have all day now to work together. Let's just tune it off. Like, let's talk more about like, I don't know, future plans. How was Addison's day? Certain things that we enjoyed. Let's not talk about any issues of the business. We have all day to do this. So we're making a very like conscious effort to just like skip it. Let's not get into anything because it's not worth kind of like bringing it up again. Like there's a lot more other stuff we could kind of like chew on, and let's use that space and time to enjoy some other stuff and talk about some other stuff.
Yeah. Anyone out there who's watching, listening, working with a spouse or partner, and they want to talk about it, jump in, grab a seat here. We'll let you in. Interesting. Yeah, I think I feel like I'd have a hard time doing that with my wife because I feel like the separation is important for us. It's interesting because everyone's got like one of my best friends, a guy named Carlos. Carlos and his wife have worked together for 20 some odd. Oh, Carlos, he was on the show like 25 years or something. They've worked together, and some people are good at that, and some people aren't. It's like I think it might stem from like I need space. I need my own space and time, sort of, and I worry that if we were working together all day and then together at night, there wouldn't be enough separation for us. It's one of those things. Who knows, right? Everyone's got their own thing, but I'm glad that's working out for you guys.
Yeah, and you're right. Like it doesn't have to work for everybody. Like, and it's one of those things. It's just like we've talked about this before, but you look at certain things, and it's just like you don't have to do it this way. There's 100 other ways to accomplish things. Like for us, like I knew we worked well together, and I had a lot of faith that this was like going to be a really good move.
Yeah.
But yeah, like I've talked to a lot of friends, and they're like, "Oh man, I love my wife, or I love my husband, but like we just don't have those types of conversations that I think I want to have about business decisions and stuff." And it's just like that's cool, like that's totally fine.
I think a big part of this too is realizing is knowing yourself and being honest about it, and just some people can do it, some people can't, and don't force it if you don't think if you're suspect about it or unsure, then just don't go there. I think that's true with everything. I mean, this is kind of why we eventually have hired a COOs, because David and I used to run the business ourselves and work on the product. And when we were 15, 20 people, it was fine. You can kind of do both at once because the business wasn't as complicated and there weren't as many people. And anytime you have more people, everything gets more complicated. And at a certain point, we just realized like that's not what we want to do. We want to focus on the product. That's our real interest. That's what we really enjoy doing most. And coming to that realization, sometimes it takes years to like finally admit to yourself that, especially when you founded a company. This is a little bit more my perspective here. I started this business. David came in a little bit later, but he's been here for the whole Basecamp time, and a little bit before that. But I started this thing. I did everything myself in the beginning, and like there's like a certain level of I should still be doing all that stuff because like it's silly, but like that you're like I should be doing that. That's how it started and whatever. But at a certain point, you realize like you're just doing yourself a disservice and the company a disservice if you're trying to do things that you don't enjoy doing anymore. And what do you enjoy doing? And I know very clearly what I enjoy doing at the business. And so let me just do those things. And you finally come to terms with that. And then you go, let's find someone who's fantastic at these other things that I'm not particularly great at anymore. Or even if I'm good at them, they're not my strong suit anymore. And have someone come in and make the business better. I've talked about this a little bit, is that I feel like, we know how to make a great product, and I think we have a great business. But I want the business to be our best product. Everyone who has a product always at least has two products, which is their product and their business. And their business is a product in itself, and it's got to be the best one because it's the one that makes all the others.
Yeah.
And so I want that. I don't want that to be neglected in a way. And so that's kind of the reason why we're bringing in a COO to kind of help us make sure the business is the best it can be also. And we'll take care of the product.
Yeah.
So, Anyone want to join? Well, we got to cut this one pretty short because I gotta run here and pick someone up at the airport. But anyone want to jump in for a minute or two out there who's watching? Jump in a hot seat, although it's not the hot seat; it's just the open seat. We're not going to make it difficult for anybody. Cool. Well, let's see. Yeah, I guess no one else wants to jump in, which is totally fine. Anything else you want to talk about?
No, I don't have any. I mean, yeah, I'm nothing critical. Some stuff I was like, it's funny. Like, I'm like
debating. Scott, come on in. Sorry, go ahead.
Is Scott coming in?
I don't know. Sounds like he wants to.
Do it.
Anyway, go on.
I was thinking about. I don't even know why I'm debating this. There was a guy you had brought it up like a week or two ago. There was someone who was like saying that we shouldn't. He was upset that he had spent 10 minutes watching our podcast or watching our YouTube video or something. Do you remember this?
Yeah, I do.
Yeah, yep. He was upset that he spent 10 minutes watching it, and then there was a back and forth with you and him. And he had said something like, just because you're successful or something doesn't mean you should ship everything or something like that.
Yep.
And you would come back and it seemed like you had kind of warmed him, it was a decent exchange by the end. But I was gonna call that out on the blog a little bit. I don't want to do it. I'm not trying to do it in a mean way to him though, but I'm trying to do it in a way that like to show some folks like not everybody's gonna like your stuff. You can't make everybody happy. And something like this, like our goal wasn't to put out this polished little gem. It was supposed to like show like a live stream of like stuff that we do not have figured out. And like even doing the show, we don't even have the technology always figured out or the lighting figured out.
Yep.
And I was just even struggling I was going to put the guy's tweets on there, but I was thinking like, I'm not trying to like,
you don't want to pick on
him, but so I don't know if I should do that.
Well, I think what's interesting about it is, are we clear about what this is to the outside world, right? So maybe he's expecting a nice polished show presentation that's tight and the whole thing, but like that's not what we're putting out. But maybe that's on us. Maybe it's not clear what we're putting out. I don't know, but it's one of those things where like setting the expectation is one thing, and that's kind of in many ways like where all reactions come from, which is, what's the expectation someone has, and are you meeting that, exceeding that, or under delivering on that? Yeah. And then that's like, but you kind of have to set that yourself, I think, or we have to kind of maybe set that better. So.
Yeah. So I mean, should we change anything? I mean, is there something it seems to be a very rare reaction. I've only seen, but
I think we're fine. What we're doing, I think we're just like, we're kind of figuring it out, and some of the audience is going to pick that up, and some people who might be brand new might not pick it up, and over time hopefully we make that clearer. I mean, it's difficult. I think it's kind of interesting. It's difficult on it's difficult with a live stream like this to set expectations up front, because someone might pop in a minute later and not hear that. So you can't, and we don't really have if we had a site, for example, if we had a website and it was like work in progress show, going live no matter what, talking about stuff that's going on, whatever the description is, like unpolished, poorly lit, but raw,
Yeah.
And then we had the video below that. It might be like, oh, I know what I'm getting myself into. But if someone's tweeting out the link to the direct video or whatever, they would never see that. So it's kind of an interesting challenge to figure out how to communicate that. But
I could change some of the copy in I have some copy that I've been using in each of our video descriptions. I could tweak it maybe to kind of mention it's more about a raw talk or something.
Yeah, just raw, unscripted raw, but sort of giving it's just sort of it's figuring it out as we go. I mean, it sounds bad, but that's kind of what it is here, and that's what we're exploring and trying out. So I'm not sure what the right words are, if that will even matter if you have it in the description field, if someone's going to pick it up. If someone's expecting, like, I don't want to watch something with shitty lighting, well, then it doesn't matter what we say. So anyway, who knows? But
yeah,
cool. Well, gotta run.
Later, dude. Have fun.
Thanks so much. See you guys.
Have a great weekend,
everybody.
And we will see
after this is over.
Cool. Yeah.
Later.
We'll see you later. Bye.